Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being this morning here. It's not easy after, an evening in Brussels, after day one of such a great event. I missed a lot of keynotes on open source, conference, so I know what it is to be there on the morning, the day two. And I hope you enjoyed the day one as much as I did. And I'm very honored to kick off and to start the day two. So, as Alex said, I'm Christophe Villemer. I'm living in Montreal, and I've been in open source for more than 20 years. First as a CIO of an international organization, and then when I joined Savoir-faire Linux 15 years ago. And I enjoyed the past 4 years. I've been developing the activities in the energy sector, discovering the energy sector, and I think we face collectively an unprecedented transformation, and it's probably one in a generation. And for the engineer inside me, it's really fascinating. But it's also very interesting for the entrepreneur I am, because it's a source of lot of opportunities, of new business, of new activities, and that's a bit what I wanted to talk to you this morning. That was a bit the idea is to speak about business. We are an open source conference, we speak a lot about technology, and today the idea was, to move and to get a bit my reflection regarding business, how we do business in open source. Sorry? Yeah, en bas. This talk actually was a bit, inspired by, it will echo a lot of discussion we had yesterday at the working group on digital substation, and it echoes also a lot of discussion we have at SIGRE. Just a little notice, you see my voice, I've been actually sick all past weekend. I get sick at SIGRE, and last weekend I was with fever hallucinating in my room, and I said, okay, I wanted to fix some ideas of people I met, discussion I had at SIGRE, and I said, okay, how I will try to make that, and I was getting the fever, and I needed actually to get illustration for my presentation, and our designer left in maternity leaves, so I decided to use some Gen AI to illustrate some stuff. So I don't took everything, because this technology got a lot of bias, and that's another issue on open source and how the model are trained. But then, so it was just a little notice about some maybe crazy illustration. On the morning keynote, after having drinking beer yesterday, redesigning the grid, it was good to wake you up. Well, just a couple of words about Savoir-faire Linux. We are a Canadian-based company in business for 25 years. We opened an office in Europe, and we're celebrating this year 25 years in Canada, 10 years in France. We decided to, from the first beginning, to get really involved in the open source community. That was the choice we've made. It echoes some question yesterday about how SMB, how a small business can play a good role in open source, and it can. But you have to play the role, you have to be involved. That's what we've done for more than 20 years. We're part of the LF Energy for 4 years, and part of a lot of open source projects too. And we've been very pleased 2 years ago to have been awarded by RTE as with a supplier trophy on competitiveness and industrial competitiveness excellence for all the work we've done in SEAPATH. Our main work is to do industrial product in many verticals in the industry, mainly with in a lot of constrained environment. The little story I just want to maybe look at is the work we've done in aerospace, and especially in avionics. We worked for a tier 2 of the industry in Montreal to build the aircraft information server that actually equipped all Airbus A220. the former Bombardier C-Series. It was a project where actually that company that never does any open source before came to us because they knew that to achieve the time to market of their product, to be ready to be on the plane, they need to do faster, they need to do quicker, they need to do better. And they decided to launch an open source strategy and to build a project, Aircraft Information Server, that's actually based in open source. And for 10 years, we've been working with them, giving them support and giving the product. So now when you fly an Airbus A220, you can think about us. And don't worry, it's not avionics stuff, it's reliable. But when you will watch the movie, you can think to us. Why do I speak to that example? It's because it's really the example that led us to SEAPATH and to the relation we start with RTE in 2019. We actually met RTE, that's actually Éloi, who is now the TSC chair of SEAPATH, and Aurélien, who was working, Aurélien probably drank too much beer yesterday, he's not here this morning. we met him actually at in Lyon 2019 at the Open Source Summit. And there was the same discussion. Aurélien came to Éloi and says, oh, we have this idea of virtualization for digital substation. And we said, oh, we have no idea what is a digital substation is. But we do know how to help you on an open source project. We know how to help you on building this project. And that's how we start the work. And I really want to thank you here at RTE for that, because taking a risk in business is important. So just a quick word about SEAPATH. It's not the idea to explain. I don't know if is there anybody in the room that never heard about SEAPATH? Okay, so we can make a quick explanation. But in 2 words, you know, SEAPATH is like software design architecture. It's like an open source OS that has real-time capabilities, that has been designed with cybersecurity aspect, and which will bring virtualization into digital substation to host virtual EID, virtual protection, and to manage the grid. What we need to remark about SEAPATH is it's not a project that reinvents the wheel. It's the best of breed project which aggregates, you know, duly selected open source project. And that's the way it works. Sorry, So, when speaking about business model, there comes the question, of course, of the market. You know, is there really a market? When you have one customer, it's not really a market, and it's a question that's, you know, a lot of people are saying, you know, will that be only RTE that will use SEAPATH? Is it a market? And do we have an ecosystem strong enough to develop other business around that? And I was very pleased, and we were a bit shocked also at the SIGRE last week, because we see the evolution for the past 4 years, and we see the evolution since the past 2 years, since the last SIGRE. We have a bias because we speak about SEAPATH, but every people we met, utilities, supplier of protection, supplier of gateways, name it, we had a conversation about SEAPATH. Some of them were beginning POC. Some of them were said, okay, we heard of it. We need to try it. So we see new players. We see a real confirmation of a move. Of course, we see a vision for the future. I mean, and that's a lot of discussion we had yesterday at the working group. You know, and I will go further later on that. You know, there is a mix of the market because there is no real solution. It's not in production. Nothing will go in production real between 2, 4, maybe 5 years. So it's a vision. So how we go to the future with that. But there is a lot of question. A lot of question remains. A lot of doubts about the capacity of bringing virtualization, of open source on that, on business on that, and there is a lot of question. But for sure, in my hallucinating nights after SIGRE, I realized that, you know, virtualization was coming. This is true. And I don't know if, you know, everybody is familiar with the Game of Thrones, but this is coming, and we don't have to have fear. But there are going to be challenges, and we need to be prepared for them, and we need to tackle these challenges. And if I risk myself as a metaphor, this mantra of Game of Thrones, actually it resonates a lot about the ecosystem. In Game of Thrones, we speak about fear. In our world, in SEAPATH world, it's risk. It's risk. You know, there is a risk in what we do. The hope, we need to see that as opportunity and innovation. There is space to do a lot of interesting things. Resilience is open source. Open source allow software to be resilient, and that's one of the most important aspects of the open source. And unity is actually governance, and that's the strength of the LF Energy. It gives you a framework of open governance that ensure that the project we are working on and the technology that we use by the utilities in the next decade, you know, will be maintained under a governance that will bring unity in the software. So, what works well today? We need to see that. We need to be aware of what doesn't work, how we can change it, and what are the challenges we face to address the market and build a business around this technology. First of all, what works is we can really, you know, there is no doubt about the fact that there is today a strong foundation of the project, of the SEAPATH project, with an active open source project, but community on that, and especially a growing ecosystem. And that's important because new players arrive. SEAPATH, in a couple of words, what it is. Open governance, so it's monthly technical steering committee. This committee are public. You can register on the mailing list. You can come to watch. It gives an open roadmap, neutral governance. That's important. And we need to gather utilities, vendor, software company around the table to make the project evolve. The project is soon on the way to launch an official version, so it's cool. It's cybersecurity audit published thanks to the LF Energy. Alex mentioned that yesterday. The PR has been launched by the LF Energy yesterday. There is audit of cybersecurity of the project that has been published. I invited everybody, every utilities, everything interested to download it, to have a look to it, and to see the amazing work that has been done. And for that work, I want two things. I want first thanks all the team of Savoir-faire Linux that works a lot on that, because I can tell you that, and that the magic of open source. You're truly needed as developers. You expose your code outside, and you accept it to be read, and then to be audited. So the result is good. And also, I want to thank you, RTE, because at the beginning of the project, RTE and on the architecture we design put a lot of effort on the cybersecurity to make sure that the project was cyber by design. And all that works has been an investment of RT on the project, and they should be thanked for that. There is now interaction with other projects. The working group on digital substation was launched yesterday. It was amazing, a lot of discussion. I hope it will continue because we need to leverage the other projects. And we have now a more diverse, a complementary ecosystem with utility, that the people who come regularly to the TSC. So RTE and 2DSO, NAD, Cylinder, the vendor, GE Vernova, Schneider, come and hardware, Velotech, and also some software vendor like Red Hat and us. But there are challenges. And there are challenges because the industry, I didn't know 4 years ago, the energy, and you know that more than me, is with a majority risk-averse industry. People are afraid a bit to move, that's what we consent, and we see like maybe I will call it like a time distortion or a twist of the time, because there are line of times who are unaligned between the journey of the research and development of building project and the road to production and the need of company to have quick ROI or who are able to sell software we do. And there is another challenge that we spoke a lot yesterday in the working group regarding the OT and IT convergence, which is a real thing because open source is coming from the IT, but the business is in the OT, and it's a strong convergence that needs to be done in the utilities. And these people doesn't speak the same language, and especially doesn't have the same speed of action. And for me, I see some like incompatible action times, and that has an impact at every place. And there are also challenges of that. I will say the procurement process. The procurement process of the utilities will need to change. You will not buy software as you will buying wires and hardware you've done for contract for 20 years, 25 years. It's not true. So there will need to be change on that. They will have change for sure on SLA, on contract duration. There is question about chain of liability of all the product that will embedded software. This is major challenges. There will be cyber expectation also from the regulation from some agencies. So all that will come to add, question and stress on the market and on the business that will need to be developed. If I think more widely before having a look at what we do at Savoir-faire Linux, the business of all the actors will change. And the difficulty today, when we speak with vendors and other software companies, that we need to adapt business model at the same time as the technology continues to evolve. We are still in a research and development process. The technology is evolving, but still we want, or some utilities are waiting for some final product, but then the project needs to evolve. So it's like a non-virtuous cycle. For the vendors, like GE, ABB, they will begin to be software shop. They will begin to sell software, and it's a major change for them. And they will deal with third OS open source party, which change a lot of things too. So this is a major change for them. For software vendors, like us, like Red Hat, like anyone, we will need in a way to rethink the life cycle, the long-term support, the way we work. We need to work closer with hardware vendors. We need to work closer with manufacturers. So it changed also the way we do business as usual. But what I'm sure is, among other things, the market expects two things regarding virtualization. There is one who actually has been discussed yesterday at the working group, is also the question of certification. When we're talking about SEAPATH, do we have a hardware that is compatible and we can show that it's easily compatible with SEAPATH? And either for vendors, protection vendors, does my protection running well on SEAPATH, and do the protection have the latency expectation, the performance expectation? So there is a work regarding this process of certification, and there is discussion open with the Linux Foundation around that, because it's also a legal part, and there is like an open process on that, and we hope to have it running in 2025. And there is, of course, the main pinpoint, the commercial support, to see, oh, SEAPATH as a product. How do I productize the product, which is actually the core of the question around our business. And there is a lot of question and fear and perception and bias regarding the support. And I just took an example because the LF research with the LF Energy published recently, thanks to the National Resource Canada, a very interesting report on open source and energy interoperability. And it shows again that, you know, on the perceived barriers to open source, there is a question of support. It comes all over the time. It's something we began not to see anymore in the IT, even in the industry, but not the energy sector, and so that's important. So if we think about SEAPATH and what could be, you know, the business model for the actors on the industry. Okay. If I take, you know, that the SEAPATH hypervisor, we've got hardware, the virtual EID. I just in green, that's the kind of support. If we take the model BAA, you know, that's pretty traditional. Some companies can offer support on the SEAPATH hypervisor and the technology behind. That's typically what Savoir-faire Linux aims to do with our commercial support. It's something that Red Hat can do too. This is something that other actors can do. On the model B, we can find hardware, maybe vendors, that would find an interest of selling hardware with pre-configured SEAPATH and offering the liability on that. Maybe Velotech will be interested in doing that. I don't know. On the model C, you know, it's maybe the supplier of protection that, you know, could sell the protection and with the SEAPATH underneath, and who offer the support of the bundle. And offshore model D, that will end to the finally traditional way of having like a box where you will have a vendor will sell the hardware with a virtualization, and it could be SEAPATH, and the protection, and will take care of that. So you see that today there is still multiple model of supports that can be done on the market. Today, actually, on all the discussion I had with some utilities, they ask, oh, I need a product of SEAPATH, I need a support. Okay, what are the SLA needs? What will be the specification of support? And today, actually, because it's not in production, because it's not clear of the procurement, because it's not clear on how it will work in real life in 2, 4, or 5 years, nobody is really able to answer that. So there is like, you know, a chicken and the egg dilemma where we need to offer support, we need to reassure the market of the fact that there is support, but actually today nobody really knows what is behind. And in all that bias, perception, what is in the reality, what will be in the future, you know, there is what I call it for the market credibility. Last year, at the LF Energy Summit in Paris, Savoir-faire Linux launched the first official commercial support of SEAPATH. It has been well received, but actually, it didn't make a change. We have customers that rely on us to do that, but we see that there is a lot of doubt of others to give that imputability to SMB, to give that, and that's what I call with the Red Hat effect. That means when Red Hat began to come to the TSC, when some utilities, you know, help and ask Red Hat to come to join, it gives credibility to the market. And you know, it's cool for me, you know, we at Savoir-faire Linux, we have been partner of Red Hat for more than 10 years. And it's a company that I have a lot of respect and I love what they do. So, but it gives a credibility on the market. Will they do, and you know, I will be a bit provocative, but I love them, so I can tell them that to them. If you think 2 minutes regarding, okay, it's cool, Red Hat will make support of on SEAPATH. When you get back to the first design of architecture of SEAPATH, it's a best of breed of a lot of cool open source projects. Most of them are actually Red Hat projects. So they're able to support everything, but the model of Red Hat is a subscription model. So at the end, you know, we don't know, even Red Hat don't know yet how they will do that, but if they come with, you know, subscription for Ansible, subscription for Ceph, subscription, but then what will be the business model compared to VMware? And so even Red Hat will have to think about how they will do that. But then the good thing is it gives credibility to the project and it gives credibility for the end. But there will be also, and that's my thought, maybe a new kind of business model to invent for the support. And the idea is not actually coming from me. You know, open source, you take the best idea of people. It's a guy I met in Seattle at the Open Source North America last spring. He's doing sensor in wind turbines based on Zephyr, which is a cool open source project for the Linux Foundation. And this sensor comes with hardware and Zephyr and some algorithm and some codes. And for sure, the company that built wind turbine that they asked him a support for 15 years, 20 years of its product. It's impossible today to ensure that your piece of code, you know, to support it for the next 10 years and at least 15 years and so on. So he came to the idea, okay, I will give the support, but I will support the feature of what I do and not the code. And then in that way he's able to change the hardware and to change the code, and as soon as the feature, the device, and the platform is doing will be the same. And maybe that's what we will need to do in SEAPATH. This is a reflection, because we have a lot, it's a Lego piece, and today we use that tool. We had a lot of discussion yesterday about cybersecurity, and the choice we've made of that tools were the best at the time we've made the architecture of SEAPATH, but who knows what will goes for the next some of the piece of the Lego. Maybe one will be depreciated by Red Hat and will not be supported. There will be security issues, or some of them will not achieve the performance we need for the next step. So we didn't have to change that. But at the end, it's the whole support of what does SEAPATH that matters the most. So it's maybe something we need to think about it. And so, Savoir-faire Linux, today, what we'll do as a service company, software company, for earning money, having fun, and working on cool projects. So the business model we have around SEAPATH is this one. We offer, of course, professional services, custom development, cybersecurity, hardening, and so on. The SEAPATH Labs, it's Kickstart package. Installing a SEAPATH vanilla in your organization that you can play on it easily. This is training. We build the training with our partner RT International. With GEV last year, we have 2 sessions, one that will be announced soon. We do coaching for teams that also use SEAPATH. We do, of course, upstream development, so how to manage contribution, or we contribute for companies that cannot do that we do that for them. And there is an asterisk, because it's on the list, but it's not concrete yet for some reasons. But there is the SEAPATH support, long-term support. This is something that we want to do. This is something that we know we are capable to do that. We've done that, in the bank, especially in Canada. There are some people from Quebec here, so La Banque Desjardins. We've done that 10 years for them on an open source stack. We built a team of almost 50 people to build on that, and for 10 years we were working for them on an open source project that were used on their portal. And the certification, we already are able to help manufacturers to comply on and to make sure that their hardware or that software will the most compatible with SEAPATH. But the most important today is, since we start the project, and that's the core of an open source business. Today we have over 9 FT of experience on SEAPATH, and that's actually what the core of an open source business is. The skills you have, the experience you have, you're able to deliver to your customer. That speed you give, because it's hard, costs money, costs time for somebody to start and to have quickly some experience on that. So that's where the coaching is coming. We help that, and this, 9 FTEs, they are thanks to, they are part that we invested our own activity in research and development at Savoir-faire Linux. That was the deal I made with Lucian 4 years ago. That I told him, okay, we're in, but you can count on us, we'll invest on it. So we decided to invest on it. Even if we are small, we invest in building open source software. But the others, FTE, the skills we concentrate it's also thanks to our customers that trust us to be able to deliver and to develop and to enhance SEAPATH, and that mainly, I thank GE Vernova for that, RTE, Enedis, and I would thank that for them. But if I come back to the support and the credibility of the market and saying that this is a market that will evolve, there will be newcomers to come, there will be new actors, and I just, claim the right to scale up with you. This is a journey. We know that this will be in production in couple of years. We're able to grow. We're able to grow with the business. We're able to help them, and we need to have strong actors, and we need to have new actors. So that's why I want to welcome new people. I want to build business on SEAPATH, because the market needs diversity. Utility will need to make a choice between multiple actors on SEAPATH. We will fail if at the end there is only Savoir-faire Linux working on SEAPATH. So that's the magic. We've been doing that for 25 years. Doing open source is bringing competition with you, and because at the end the user needs to choose. So yes, I want to scale up with Savoir-faire Linux on that, and I want to welcome other partners for that, because there is, from all the discussion we had the past days, the discussion we had in Sigre, there is one thing that we know for sure, that is virtualization is coming. Thank you very much.